Hello, good morning, London, good evening, Australia, and good afternoon, Pakistan. Welcome to Chit Chat with Shehla. I'm your host, Shehla Ciara Banerji, and this is a platform for women coming together. I call upon guests, empowered ladies who bring advice, tips, their journeys to the table, and it has helped so many women. So please do tune in and ask questions and do take advantage of these sessions. Today we have a guest who's a highly accomplished lady. I have had the pleasure of knowing her for more than a year. I've had the pleasure of meeting her before and also interviewing her before. She is so generous. Every time I've asked her, she's generously come on and is a delight to listen to. She's a successful entrepreneur, a thriving mindset and peak performance coach, and she will be featured in Kriya Global Awards List 2021. As her motto and her mission goes, she helps people thrive, not just survive. She's lived in different parts of the world, and that adds to her beautiful personality. I won't go on more. I will let her explain it all. So let's welcome Ciara Banerji.
Hi, hi, Shehla. Hi,
Hi.
ladies, whoever's watching.
Yeah, whoever is watching, please put your comments down. It would be wonderful to see who's here. I can see Rarazi is here, Kamal Amar is watching, and Suhair Malik is here. So please do put comments and do ask questions. So Ciara, thank you for coming on. Thank you for always being there. Tell us in your own words about yourself.
Okay, so I think I'm a really passionate individual, first and foremost. I am also an avid music fan. I'm a sports fanatic as well. And then obviously professionally and career-wise, I'm a peak performance and mindset coach. And I love what I do. It's amazing. I'm a very people person, and it's just my passion and my mission to just get as many people, really reaching their potential as possible. And we get one life, and I love to see people sort of knocking it out of the park, as we say.
So this coaching was not your chosen career at the start.
No. Yeah, that's right. Well, interestingly, when I was when I did my postgrads, I did psychotherapy and nutrition, and I thought I was going to go into life coaching in my early 20s. But I started that, and what I was finding was that the people that were coming to me were, they were at stages in their life I hadn't hit yet, right? So I'm 40 now, so I've got more life experience. But back when I was kind of mid-20s or early to mid-20s when I first started, I realized I was listening to these problems and I was like, okay, got all the theory, don't have the life experience, and for me, I noticed that it wasn't the right time for that. But so I've always had a passion. I felt I was going to come back to it at some point. And like the last couple of years has really been the time for me, the beginning of last year. So prior to that, I was in recruitment. So I've run businesses for 10 years. And I started working at Shell in oil and gas. And then I went into a boutique recruitment consultancy where I did senior exec recruitment, so CFOs, CEOs, that sort of thing.
Wow.
And then went, into my own business in 2010, I think it was, something like that. And I ran as a recruitment business. Now it does recruiting and coaching. So yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, amazing.
That's amazing. So kind of like you were dealing with people before as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so and that's why I do, I have this mix between career and life coaching, and it's so powerful because every part of your life that you want to improve has an impact on others, so I feel so fortunate that I can speak the career stuff and also the life stuff, you know, because for a lot of the majority of, well, all women actually that I work with, and the men, they're all professionals, so they all have that ambition. So, you know, to be able to have had that 15 years experience prior to, you know, where I worked with all the big blue chips, the Shells, the BPs, you know, large consultancies, big fours, recently Accenture, you know, so I've seen the bird's eye view of what happens at C-suite in those companies for a long time. So it's just been such a natural add-on, I'd say. You know, you can call it a pivot, but it's an add-on to my experience. So I feel really fortunate that it's come at the right time, and I took the steps at the right time to kind of embrace what I knew was coming. So COVID for me in some ways was good, you know, because I was thinking, well, actually, if ever there's a time you do not want to be a recruiter knocking on doors of people that don't have jobs, and now's the time. So it was, you know, it was really time to bring in the other side. So that's
beautiful.
How it happened.
And this coaching has been recent, but was there anything in particular that brought it about? I know you've mentioned COVID and times changed and people's livelihood changed in the last year, but was there anything in particular that brought you to coaching?
Yeah, so way back when, I think my whole life, like I am just, you know, when people say they're born to do something, like my little 4.5-year-old hit her first tennis balls last week. And she actually, when she stepped into her power, she naturally said as a 4.5-year-old, I'm born to do this. And she was like, you know, and that's how I feel with coaching. And
Wow.
because when I was a child, I was the receiver of coaching. I did high level sports. So, you know, I played, I was seeded in tennis for Western Australia. I did state basketball as well. So I was a receiver of sporting coaching, but with that came mindset coaching, right? I was taught to sit down and visualize the ace and visualize winning. And I saw the power of it then, right?
Wow.
And then I grew up with my influences were, you know, very accomplished individuals. My parents, you know, my dad, excuse me, my dad ended up being CEO of the largest law firm in Australia. He was a chartered accountant, but he, you know, it affected his mental health, yeah, towards the end. And I saw that journey firsthand, and I thought, and, you know, such a talented, amazing individual who was given a golden handshake at 50. So everyone's celebrating the fact that he's retired early, 51, 52. He's got all this accomplishment around him, but it really had impacted his mental health, you know, that last job. And so his golden handshake was actually really him saying, I can't take this anymore. And he completely changed what he did. So I, as a teenager, wanted, obviously you want to help your parents, right? So I saw then, I was thinking, okay, why can't you be accomplished and have that mental peace, you know, and that support that he did. I saw him just have no support, you know, and so that's largely the sort of men that I work with. And my mum, who, you know, she has just retired for the second time because she was doing the rollout for the vaccine in Australia. She was a nurse, but ended up, you know, running St John Ambulance in Australia. So, you know, I grew up with her working part-time and that struggle with, she wanted the career, but she had us as children and she wanted to be there for us. And I saw that frustration, to be honest, growing up. And I saw that desire for her to work, feeling conflicted. Should I, shouldn't I? You know, I spent a lot of my holidays at her work filing, right? You know, because for her, that was, you know, a really important thing, right? It was important for her to work and earn money. And so she put her career a bit behind. And then as soon as we'd grown up, she really like went for it career wise, because she felt that she'd probably been held back, you know, without putting words in her mouth, but, you know, is why I saw, but to the detriment of her marriage, right? Because my you know, my dad had retired and my mum was just gearing up, right? So I saw this, you know, situation that really could have been avoided, you know, and impacted both of their kind of happiness, where their life had gone. Probably spent too many years, you know, my mum in that conflict, you know, that I call it the Rubik's Cube of life, right? She didn't, you know, she was an amazing mother. So the helicopter going over my, I live in an RAF base.
That's okay.
Hopefully you can't hear it.
No,
you know, so I saw that inability, or that real, it's difficult, you know, it can be difficult to solve that Rubik's Cube in life. So, and they are the women, you know, that I generally work with, super ambitious, but know they've got more in the tank. How do they solve all these conflicts, you know, in their life so that it goes in the trajectory that they want and doesn't have collateral damage along the way, you know? So that's kind of, I think, the main things that I saw when I was growing up. That's why I knew I'd be a coach at some point, because I just am so passionate about, you know, people. And then COVID hit, and then I also lost my daughter end of 2019. So I was like, you know, what better time than to really, you know, all the voices in your head that, you know, well, I've got so much to give, I've got so much value to add. Why are you keeping it in your head? Just do it, right? You know, you have these moments, you just do it. So they're the sort of things that led to it, and it's just amazing. And I feel like, wow, you know, I'm so able. I see my clients' transformations, and it's just so heartwarming. I feel like I was saying, I'm born for this. You know, it's beautiful. So yeah,
and you've got the right energy for it.
Yeah. I mean, I come out of my sessions more energized.
Absolutely. Plus the experiences you've gone through and you've learned, so that obviously projects on. That brings me to my next question, which is different continents. So interesting. How does it affect how you put it forth and help in helping people, the different parts of the world? Just go over briefly, if you may, where you've lived and what you've gained from every area.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born in Dublin. My parents emigrated to Perth, Australia, when I was 5. Then at 21, I went back to live in Dublin for 4 years. Then back to Australia for a year, London, then Mumbai for 3 years, 2012
That's
to 2015, and then back here. And what has led me to that? I think, so there's a few things. I mean, if anyone believes in astrology, I'm a Sagittarian, so I'm, you know, the traveler of the zodiac. But my parents, you know, being Irish in Australia, I always felt not fully Australian, shall we say, because they were really open-minded to other cultures, but they'd have different language. Like, you know, mum would say, I'm hopping down to the shops to get the messages, and all my friends would be like, what messages is she getting? And that's like the word for shopping, right? The Irish people use it for shopping as well. There's like these phrases that I was carrying around that when I'd say, my friends would go, what does that mean? And I'm like, why don't they understand me? And I'm like, oh right, because this is an Irish thing, right? So you know, you sort of, I grew up with both of those, and they educated me a lot around the history. I have quite a political, on one side, my mum's side of the family has it's a very notable family in Ireland. It was part of, you know, her great grandfather was part of the treaty signed between Ireland and England, for example, for non-lynch. So they have a very historical family. So I grew up learning about that. So that's why I wanted to go to Dublin and, you know, immerse myself more in that. And then London is just amazing, isn't it? Just so many cultures. And, you know, I just found it so fascinating when I came here. And then I met a Bengali, well, he's English, you know, he's born here, but I met my husband is Bengali, so that's why we ended up in India for 3 years, which was incredible, absolutely incredible.
Very different from all you'd experienced before, must have been.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like everyone says, what did you learn about India? And I say I came out with more questions than when I went in, like it's complicated. I was there for 3 years and I'm like, I truly came out with more questions than when I went in. And it's a really complicated, and it challenges you, right? Like what I went to say the biggest slum in Mumbai, and you hear, as an example, you hear of obviously, child labor and things like that is horrific and it needs to stop. But when you go to see it, and they were beading the saris, and speaking to the parents, they're like, well, there's no social help. So unless I put my child to work, then the rest of the kids don't get educated, right? So then what, right? So what how can you tell them that they're doing the wrong thing, right? You know what I mean? So it's like, it doesn't sit with the people, it really sits with the structures of society and how they support, right? And how they support their people. And then I loved, like, just the entrepreneurial spirit of India was the most heartwarming thing I've ever seen. Everybody's got something they want to help you with, they want to sell, because that's the positive side of not having any social security in some ways, right? The people are always thinking of ideas, how to make money, how to be useful, how to be valued, and they do it with a smile. So it was just beautiful, really charming place, but cacophony, so I shut the curtains on it every few days as well. But I just love the cultures, I love learning, I love different foods, and I think I'll finish this one. I'll close it off with something that has stayed with me. And I was in Mumbai. Have you ever been to Mumbai?
No, I've not had the opportunity.
Yeah.
Love to go one day.
Yeah, amazing city. But so I was in this kind of expat shopping area, and I'd only been there a few weeks, and I heard an Irish accent, and I was thinking, oh, well, I didn't know how many Irish people would be here. So I popped my head around the thing in the supermarket and I said hello to this lady. I said, how long have you been here? She said, oh, 4 years, with my husband and everything. I said, oh, great, So what have you learned? Like, how have you found it? And she said, well, you know what? There's a lot of similarities between Irish people and Indian, because once you've been shat on, I hope I can say that, by the British, you've got lots of camaraderie, right? and it just warmed my heart. I just thought she was like, because there's this roguish nature of the Irish, and like, you couldn't get two different cultures in many ways, but how you can also see the similarities is just beautiful. And connecting through those similarities but enjoying the differences, there's nothing better. There really isn't. I love it.
And I think you've got to be so open for it to appreciate it. If you're closed off, you won't ever be able to acknowledge and see the beauty in the difference in culture. So
absolutely.
I love that. It's so you were both there getting your messages at the supermarket,
right?
Exactly.
Exactly, we were getting the messages.
I'll go through some comments. Kira Sobia is here from Australia, and she's saying, hi, good to see you again, Kira, and glad to see you guys are out of winter. Yes, well, almost. We've still got the heating on. I don't know about you, but I've got to turn the heating on every day. It's just like, it's May. It's almost May. We need our sun and warm weather. Ksenia is here. Hi, Ksenia. And Madhya Hassan Khan is watching as well. Okay, so what would you say is the framework of your coaching approach? I mean, you've said a lot, but then if you were to narrow it down, what would you say?
Sure. So I would say it is really about setting your vision. I get my clients to set the vision, and a lot of the time they're not crystal clear on that at the beginning, but we set it anyway. And then we identify the limiting beliefs that are standing in the way. We shift them. We take action on the back of those shifts, and we build momentum directly towards that goal. And that is, I would say, the biggest difference between my coaching and many other coaches that you'll find. A lot of people don't do the build momentum bit, and they're not that great at taking action. So they might raise these limiting beliefs. And the reason I know that is because my clients who have been coached before can quite quickly identify what blocks them. And they've been to coaches before, but they haven't shifted it, or they haven't put action on the back of it, and they haven't built the momentum. So of course it's like, well, they've raised awareness, but that's step one, right? That's step one. You really, so that is really the framework. And we build momentum by getting out of our comfort zone, straight directly towards that vision to get the results. And it works, provided they do the work and take the guidance.
Exactly, doing the work. So what would you say is roughly how long do you spend with someone before they start seeing results? Because you've had very successful results. I personally know about that, but if you would want to talk about it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So generally, it depends on the level of the person, and usually because I'm touching on both career and life, and it's led through where people truly want to get to in a career largely. There's an initial, anywhere between 8 weeks and basically 4 months is when you really truly see them breaking out of their shell and just getting stuff where they're phoning me up going, I can't believe what has happened. Do you remember 8 weeks ago? Or like, do you remember 6 weeks ago when we said that? Wouldn't this be great? It's happened. He's phoned me up. Or, it's usually between that period. So yeah, that roughly.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So what do you feel? What's that first feeling you get when somebody has broken it? And you can see it once you've done it for yourself. You can see it for the other person. Sometimes they can't even identify, but you can see there's a change happening.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. So I mean, I like to see weekly shifts, and if I don't see enough of a weekly shift, I will call them out midweek, if you know what I mean. So I do. So I have like a session each week for the first 8 weeks generally. And in between that, if I'm not seeing what I would expect, then I'll tell them that, look, you've got to shift a bit further. And the feeling is it's just like anything is possible, right? Anything is possible. Like I'm gonna do an interview with one of my ladies, Katie. Shall I tell you briefly what her transformation is?
Sure.
Yeah. And so when she came to me, I think it was about 4 months ago or so, she was, okay, I am, I'm mid-40s. I think I've missed my chance to be a director. When I had kids, she was a lawyer. When I had kids 10 years ago, I decided that I would take some contracts, and I've sidestepped ever since. And now I'm looking at going, I'm never going to get a permanent role. It certainly isn't going to be at the level that I was. The trajectory that she was on was a high flyer in a private law firm. And she was just like, what are the possibilities? Okay. So in the last few weeks after that period, she has landed a permanent job on the same salary, because usually contractors are paid much more than permanent salaries. And we've got her a director level position. In fact, she landed 2 director level positions, okay, on a permanent basis, and they fought it out for her. She's like, what's going on? And she said, the thing that struck me the most after and was like, she said, I never thought you believed that I could do it. And I was like, really? And she said, I honestly thought you were just saying what you're saying and the change for me was like, I think she actually does believe I can do this. She said one day it dropped in, and then I realized it was my lack of confidence and my stories that I wasn't receiving I was doing what you were saying, but I didn't even think you believed I could do it. And I did it, you know. She's just like, she was crying all day. She couldn't believe it. She is literally back at the level had she continued her career without any of the side steps she'd done. And it's just, it's so powerful, you know.
That's amazing. And within a space of 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, she was about 3 months. Yeah, about 3 months. So it's just, absolutely incredible. I just love it. It's amazing.
Just to let you know, Salma Ali Khan is here as well. She's saying hello. People who are watching, if you have any questions, please put forth. Kira, what would you tell the women who resonate with what you've said? That one thing, one take-home message, or there's so many who are going to watch later as well.
Yeah, so I would say the one take-home message for the women that are watching, I would say, is that there's a difference between capability and confidence, okay? And, you know, the biggest difference I see between the men that I coach and the women that I coach, and it's been proven in studies as well, recruitment studies over the years, that when a guy has 60% of the experience, he will go for that job. Women wait until they have 90% plus of the experience before they go for promotion. Now, and you know, it's a huge difference. Okay, it's a huge difference. So what I would say for women, and that this, you know, that's career, but it works with every part of your life. The place I would urge you to take action is when you first have an idea. Wow, I think I can see that promotion, or I think I can see the flourish in my relationship. I think I can see whatever it is. And then you feel fear, and then women wait, right? And they build they try to build their capability up, up, and up, 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 up. And in the meantime, 5 men are already there, right? So I'm saying when you feel that fear, when you can see that goal, that is the time to act. And you build the confidence alongside it to take the actions through the fear. And that is the most powerful way to get you earlier results than waiting the years that people wait ordinarily, you know, so that you don't fall into that regret. Yeah, that's the biggest probably piece of advice I would say.
Great
do
piece
it early.
Of advice. Great piece of advice. Thank you so much for sharing it. We do have a question. Sohail Malik from London is watching, and she's saying, how do you feel one best can motivate themselves?
How do I feel one motivation?
How can one best motivate themselves?
Okay, so I mean, obviously people are really different, but the things that are really usually fantastic for motivation is, firstly, if you watch and identify with someone who has done something inspiring to you, right? It can be someone that you know, someone that you don't know, but someone story that resonates with you. And because when people see that, wow, one person's done that, someone has done that, people start to break open a little bit to their own possibility that actually, well, if that person's done it, why can't I do it? And I think that is the first step, to really start to motivate yourself. And then really it's, winning your mornings. So, the basic, what I call the basic foundation blocks, is really important, and people ignore them all the time. Hydration, nutrition, getting up in the morning, having time to yourself, to stretch, to do yoga, to do exercise, to meditate, whatever it is that makes you feel good, right? And generally exercise releases endorphins, so adrenaline and endorphins makes us feel motivated, right? And then you set your goals, and you've got to have your goals to what you're working towards, because and that actually, I would say, in middle age is where I see a lot of people. I'm like, where do you see yourself? Where do you want to get to? And it's like we're taught to set goals when we're children, and then something happens and all of a sudden life takes over and people forget to set their goals or their vision for their life, right? But really, unless you have that passion and that vision and that those goals, what have you got to be motivated about, right? So you have to identify, what is that purpose, what is that goal, what am I going for, you know?
And there's no age limit to it.
There's no age limit. Any age, right? Any age. And it can be as small or as big as you want, right? You know, you can set the goals as small or as big, but having something that makes you feel you've achieved that, or that you're working towards, is a huge part of motivation. How can you be motivated if you don't have that, you know?
And so having a goal, and then achieving it, and then celebrating it, so to acknowledge that you've achieved it as well. And on your first point, which you rightfully said, have someone who has achieved and looking up to it. So I would say that I don't know why, but women mostly fall in the trap of getting envious or jealous. So instead of those, looking at another woman who's achieved something and gain from it, rather than taking it in a negative way.
Absolutely.
Any more questions, anyone? Please put forth. I would love to have you stay here for hours and hours, but I know your time is precious. So we'll have to come to an end. However, I'm not going to let you get away without letting these beautiful ladies see how gorgeous your voice is.
What, Shehla?
Think of whatever song. Kira sings beautifully. She's got such an amazing voice that it would be a shame not to have her sing on the show.
I can't believe you've done this to me again. It's not Christmas anymore, Shehla.
It's not Christmas, not a jingle this time.
Okay. What song can I sing for you? What song?
Does anyone want to suggest what Kira should sing?
I can suggest a song.
I know, when you put in the spot, it's just like no song comes to you.
I know. I listen to music all the time. I said I was an avid music fan, and I'm coming up blank. What am I? I listened to a gospel. Hang on. I was actually listening to a gospel song yesterday. Let me see what it was, and then I can sing that to you.
Sure.
Something about a little light that was very cute. What was it? If I can find it readily.
No problem. We can wait. And thank you, everyone who's been watching. Thank you so much. This will be available later on to be seen, and you could put your questions there. Kira would be able to see them.
Okay, I'll give you a couple of, because I don't know all the words, but I listened to this yesterday. I loved it. Gospel song, and it was This Little Light of Mine. Do you know that one?
Maybe if you sing it, I may know. Not entirely sure yet.
Okay. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Beautiful. Bits of medley of songs.
Yeah. What's that? Sorry,
I think we lost you in the middle. I was saying that you're going to do a medley of songs, or this was gorgeous, beautiful. Thank you. And so apt.
Yeah, that's right. So apt. Yeah.
Oh, I won't keep you here because I know you've got clients to attend to. Thank you so much, Kira.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Who watched?
Yes, thank you everyone for watching, and thank you, Kira, once again for taking the time out. Have a lovely day. Bye.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye. Bye.